What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show, brought to you by Pub Sports Radio with lines presented by Superbook Sports. It's UFC London weekend, baby. Let's go. Mimosas and waffles fights first thing tomorrow morning. I can't wait. We're going to take one last look at these fighters before they step in the cage. We want to watch them face off. We want to see who won and lost those face-offs and see if we can squeeze one extra little tidbit of value out of our bookies. And this is the Undefeated Show, best damn gambling show for MMA of the week. Smash the like button, sub here if you haven't already, and give me a retweet if you have social media of any kind. And hey, if you're one of our audio listeners brand new to the show, leave me a review. Let's get into this bad boy. A 5-star review specifically. Thank you. First fight of the night, Nicolas Dalby taking on Claudio Silva. Dalby came in at 170, Silva 170 and a half. Dalby is shredded. I mean, he's always in great shape. But holy crap, at least he had pants on for this one. Claudio Silva came in, big flex, looking strong. Dude's 39 years old and still just doing the damn thing. Claudio looked a little soft today at the face-offs. Dalby has a decent little size advantage on him. This is a good face-off. We've got Dalby minus 230. Silva is plus 195. I'm a little tempted dog or pass here on this spot. Claudio Silva's club and sub is something we've seen Dalby fall to before. Dalby was making posts on Instagram about the troubles he's having in his life and things of that nature. Don't want to judge a man for anything like that, but at the same time, that's very terrifying going into a fight week knowing he's struggling with demons outside. So this is definitely dog or pass for me. Dalby is a guy who does not have a good record in the UFC. He is not caliber in my opinion. I think we could maybe take the opportunity to fade him here, and you can get Silva's sub prop at like plus 550. I don't mind the sprinkle. For the most part, it's a pass, but this is one where I wouldn't be laying the chalk on the favorite. Next up, Mandy Bohm taking on Victoria Leonardo. Bohm made 125, Leonardo 125 and a half. Bohm was in great shape, threw that number one finger up there on the scale today. Looking good, I'll be honest. Victoria Leonardo gave a big flex the second she hit the scale. She wasn't waiting for them to read the numbers. Big size advantage for Mandy. Now, we knew that coming in. We knew Mandy was going to be a giant, but I was still a little bit surprised by the significant size difference here. I thought Victoria was a little bit larger than she actually is. Victoria was not backing down, though. Little dog syndrome stayed in her face. This was a real good face-off. I'm big here on Victoria Leonardo. Now, she opened up like plus 140 earlier in the week. She is currently sitting at minus 115 as the favorite. So I got in around plus 120, beat the nice big fat line movement. This is women's MMA, so we know it's sketchy as all hell. I'm steering into the variance here just a little bit, and that's terrifying. I've got way too big a bet on Victoria Leonardo, but the fact is, I like her skill set better. She's faster. She's got a better gas tank. She's training with KGB Lee. Unless Mandy Bohm pulls a Talia Santos and looks like somebody completely different from what we've seen on her tape to this point, I think Victoria Leonardo should get her hand raised here. And in fact, I'm going to be sprinkling that Victoria Leonardo round 3 TKO. That's like 35-1 because Bohm gasses. Bohm gasses badly. And when Victoria gets you on the mat, she goes to work. She doesn't just sit on top of you. We've seen Mandy Bohm be relatively helpless from her guard position before. I think Victoria can get her out of there. Next fight up, Jai Herbert taking on Kyle the Monster Nelson. Both guys made 155. Jai is sucked out, tall and skinny. He looked okay. Good flex. He's one of those string bean type of guys, though. Kyle Nelson moving up to 155. First time at the new weight class. Packed on some muscle very obviously. Looked fantastic. Discount Guram Kutataladze up there. Somebody on Twitter tweeted that, and I thought it was too funny not to share that idea. Jai obviously the taller of the two men. Good respectful face-off. Damn, Kyle Nelson is thick for this one. Another spot where, personally, guys, I just don't trust Jai Herbert. His durability is a massive question. He will have the height and reach advantages, and that's great, but we've seen him get touched and go down. He's been finished in all of his UFC losses, I believe. Kyle Nelson's a guy that's kind of first round or bust, though. That bad gas tank, this extra muscle is probably going to make him hit harder but gas a little quicker, so I just kind of like violence here. The total's at 1.5. The under is minus 115. I may be parlaying fight doesn't go the distance, so I don't have to fight with that round and a half, but I think Kyle Nelson in the first round knockout makes sense. But after the first round, Jai Herbert probably picks him apart, and with those head kicks and the long reach he's got, if he connects a couple times on Kyle Nelson, I can't expect he's going to stick around in rounds 2 and 3 here in this spot. So yeah, I like violence. I don't mind the Hail Mary shot on Kyle Nelson, but I like violence. Charles Johnson taking on Muhammad Mokaev. Johnson came in at 125 and a half. Mokaev came in at 126, and this one's sketchy as all hell, folks. Johnson, all smiles. Good flex on the scale today. Looking solid, except for that weird tuft of hair he keeps on the back of his head. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm a fellow bald dude, and I don't get that one. Mokaev needed the box of shame immediately. Didn't even try to weigh in first without it. But you know what? The guy calling the weight today was not losing a fight on this card. Mokaev barely got on the scale, and he immediately shouted 126. I don't do the whole, they're protecting their fighters thing very often, but this one seemed a little sus. This guy working the scales today made sure nobody was overweight, and because of the box of shame, he read it off as quickly as he could, and they got out of there. Mokaev didn't look like he was in any distress whatsoever from a guy struggling to make the top end of that weight limit. I think he got away with one today. I'll be completely honest. At any rate, Mokaev, I don't like this shit. Mokaev ran up and jammed his fist into Johnson's throat at the face-offs. Like, that's some bitch level shit. Like, your guy is over there waiting to face off with you and go nose to nose with you before your fight, and you take the opportunity to throat punch him when you know the UFC is going to break you up and not give him the opportunity to touch you back. That's it. I'm not about that. I don't like that at all. So here I do have the over 2.5. Right now, Mokaev is a minus 500 favorite. You can get Charles Johnson plus 400 at Superbook Sports. I did throw one unit on Johnson at plus 400. I think this is going to be a competitive kickboxing match. Even if there's some wrestling and scrambles involved, I think Charles Johnson will be able to get back up to his feet. I don't expect Mokaev to be able to just snatch a neck the way he did the last time out. I have a bigger bet on the over 2.5. That's at plus 105. So as long as Muhammad either finishes in the final 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the fight or wins a competitive decision, I still am going to make money here. If this thing goes to a split, I'll be screaming for Charles Johnson, because if we can double up on that thing, I will take the opportunity to cash a plus 400 ticket. Not my most confident read. I just am not ready to trust a guy with 6 professional fights at a minus 500 price tag against a guy that's kind of Chris Curtis-esque, flying under the radar. Maybe should have been in the UFC a bit ago. So yeah, I'll take the shot. Makwan Amirkhani taking on JSP. Amirkhani came in at 145.5, looking good, very confident smirk on his face. As always, the guy knows where he's at. JSP 145 gave that mean mug stoic flex that he likes to do up there on the scales. These guys size up pretty well. JSP is slightly taller, and this was a very intense face-off. This has been hotly debated around MMA Twitter, and money's been pouring in on Makwan Amirkhani. JSP is now down to minus 175. And because of the positions he was in his last fight, I can totally understand, because Makwan will not let him get away with those mistakes. If he lets Makwan get around his neck like that, he's going to be done in this fight. So Makwan sub, Makwan round 1 or 2, that totally makes sense to me. But if Makwan doesn't get JSP out of there early, then I think JSP just takes over with the pace and the pressure. And as Makwan starts to slow down, that's when JSP can win this thing, maybe in the 3rd round or by decision. So I'm staying off this one personally. It might be a half decent spot for a live bet though, because if you can see Makwan starting to fade after round 1 and JSP still looks fresh and got out of the subs, he was able to defend his positions, then yeah, you probably want to jump on JSP at maybe a buy low spot after that 1st round. That's kind of the read I've got there. Charles Rosa taking on Nathaniel Wood. Rosa made 145, Wood 145.5. Rosa gave a big old flex, pounded his chest. He's enjoying himself up there. Nathaniel Wood looked great, first to the scales today. Obviously coming up those 10 extra pounds, he had no issues making weight. Charles, slight size advantage. He is the natural 145er here. And he was talking the whole time. He's really worked up today, I noticed. Wood is a minus 600 favorite. Charles Rosa is a plus 450 underdog. And while I do think Wood wins, I don't like this line, guys. The fact that Wood is so small at 145, this could be maybe the one guy that Charles Rosa can bully in the grappling positions. I don't like it. I don't want to lay minus 600 chalk on him. He should win. He absolutely should win. He's the far slicker striker, but we've also seen him rocked before. We've seen him touched and wobbled before. So if he makes a mistake and Charles, just being the bigger, stronger man, is able to hit him with something big, I don't want to lay minus 600 and find out if he's actually okay to compete at 145 or not. So pass for me, but I will say Nathaniel Wood wins. Marc Diakiese taking on Damir Hadzovic. Both guys made 156. Marc was the last one to weigh-ins, and again, felt like he might have got away with one. Dude is absolutely shredded, though. Took everything he had to get down to 156. Damir Hadzovic, very similarly shredded, always in great shape, but damn, he put some extra effort into this one. He looked like Spider-Man, though, when he first gets his powers and notices he's got abs and he can't, use his glasses anymore. Damir up there rocking the glasses reminded me of that scene. These guys size up really well. Damir actually slightly bigger. Marc obviously talking a little bit the way he does. Diakiese's a minus 350 favorite. Damir Hadzovic is a plus 290 underdog. And again, it's another spot where I'm like, Diakiese really should win this. The gas tank of Damir is something that I do not like. Diakiese showing off his grappling in the last fight. If he goes to that here, he should be able to chip away at Damir and get the win. But I don't want to trust him at minus 350. He should win this fight. But Marc Diakiese has a tendency of not following the script. So if he doesn't fight to his strength in this spot and we have a low-volume kickboxing match, he could lose another split here. That's just what Marc Diakiese freaking does. So we'll see what happens. I will pick Marc Diakiese, but I don't like the price tag once again. Mason Jones taking on Ludovit Klein. Jones made 155.5, Klein 155 on the dot. And what we've got is a spot where Mason Jones comes in all lobster-faced the way he does for face-offs. He has that all the time. Big smile on his face, relaxed, no issues whatsoever. Short notice replacement here. Ludovit is a jacked guy at this weight class. He's absolutely massive, solid muscle, huge flex. Jones is fired up, waving his arms around, roaring to the crowd, getting in there. Slight size advantage here for Ludovit Klein. And that's the kind of thing that does worry me a little bit. Mason Jones is all the way up to minus 390 now as a favorite. Ludovit Klein is plus 325. I still think Mason Jones wins this fight. Mason Jones is probably my favorite at this chalk price on this card, just because of the way he fights, the pace, the pressure. Ludovit Klein has that left head kick. If he connects on Jones with that head kick, yeah, he can put him out with that, but he can put anybody out with that. Mason Jones has shown that he's tough, he's durable, and if he gets hurt, he decides to switch to the grappling. This is a guy opposite of Marc Diakiese who understands the assignment. He knows the game plan. He knows where his path to victory lies. So I do think Mason Jones can overwhelm Klein, force him to grapple, burn that gas tank, drag him into deep waters, and then finish him late in this fight. He's on record talking about wanting to get a TKO victory, so I know the submission is the one everybody's jumping on, and with the number to where it's at, trust me, I'm tempted on that myself, but he wants a KO. So, I'm kind of tempted on, just the round 3 by itself without picking a sub or a KO, because maybe he defaults to the sub if he can't quite get the knockout. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. But if he's actively searching for that knockout, I don't know if I want to go against the fighter's own plan and take the sub there. We'll see what we do there. I may be parlaying Mason Jones. I should have done it earlier in the week, but as you can tell, I'm kind of struggling with these other fighters at these price tags. The minus 600 on Wood, the minus 350 on Diakiese, I got the heebie-jeebies a little bit that I'm not sure where I'm going to parlay him. That is the plan, though. I just need to find that other leg. Paul Craig taking on Volkan Oezdemir. Business as usual. Paul Craig doing his thing. Big flex on the scales. Volkan Oezdemir looking a little bit slimmer, if I'm being honest. He took this fight very seriously, training with Alexander Gustafsson, switched places, so I think he's looking good for this one. Craig did his classic ripping off the shirt on his way to the stage. Blue face paint, screaming at the crowd. I love it. It's a Paul Craig fight week, baby. Let's go. He has a big size advantage here in this spot and went nose-to-nose with Volkan Oezdemir, and I'll be honest, Volkan had a blank look on his face and took a step back. Paul Craig won the face-off today. He absolutely did. And that's the thing that is a little bit concerning for these Volkan Oezdemir backers. I know if Volkan plays his cards right, he can win this thing. But the size and raw power of Paul Craig, if he just decides to tangle up Volkan Oezdemir, they might end up on the ground. I think, again, violence is probably the answer here in this one. I think Paul Craig is absolutely live in this spot. The number's been beaten down to plus 125. You get minus 145 on Volkan Oezdemir at this point. I'm kind of just expecting a finish here in this spot, though. I will be cheering for Craig for the culture. Hanny Goldy taking on Molly McCann. Goldy came in at 125, McCann 125.5. Goldy is jacked, as always. Looking good, though. Meatball Molly looking solid, gave a strong flex, big smile. She's feeling herself today. These girls size up really well. Molly was intense, though. I mean, leaning in, mean mugging on Goldy, and Goldy lost the face off. She was leaning back, trying to get as far away from Molly McCann without flinching as she could, and looked visibly flustered after the face off. Molly McCann is, I think, a rightful minus 400 favorite in this spot. Hannah Goldy not impressed me at all in anything she's done in any of her fights. She's a plus 330 underdog. I would not be shocked if Molly Meatball bombs on her and gets a TKO victory here in this spot. Decision TKO, probably the way to go. I did parlay her with Paddy. Scousers, baby. Got the Scousers parlay going. But I do think Molly gets it done. Gustafsson taking on Nikita Krylov. Alexander Gustafsson came in at 205. Krylov 204. And no spare tire on Gus today. You know, last time we saw him at weigh-ins, he came in at heavyweight and had that extra, you know, flab hanging around him. He's showing off his abs today. Scared the shit out of the guy doing the weigh-ins. Really hilarious because he stepped off and it made a bang. Guy wasn't expecting it. It was good. Nikita Krylov came in, looked fantastic. He always does. This is one of those physically fit type of guys. Shredded, gave an extra flex, letting the muscles ripple there for you. When they face off, guys, Gus has a massive size advantage. I mean, like a big size advantage. Gus is a huge dude. And right now, you can get Alexander Gustafsson at plus 175. Nikita Krylov is a minus 200 favorite. And I know everyone out there is scared to back Gus. I know everybody out there is talking about the questions surrounding Gus and his mentality. But you listen to his interviews, folks. You listen to what he's talking about. He's not looking for the title shot. He's not talking about what comes next. He is laser focused on Nikita Krylov, and he's talking about hurting him. He said, this is my division. Like, he is coming back with the mentality that we need from a fighter to make a return the way Gus has. He's going to have a massive size advantage. Wrestling defense has never been his problem. He's going to be able to outstrike Krylov on the feet. Honestly, I know a lot of people are betting Krylov. I am struggling to see where he wins this fight. If Gus is 70 or 80% of who he was, he straight wins this fight. And on top of that, the people that have caused him problems were the jiu-jitsu style grapplers. Guys like Anthony Smith or Fabricio Verdum that'll roll for a leg or take your back or climb on you. That's not Nikita Krylov's game. And Krylov could barely take down some of the other guys at 205 that are not as big as Gus, that don't have the takedown defense of Gus. We've seen him struggle and tire out and slow down the deeper the fight goes. You know, and Anthony Smith is a guy that'll go 25 minutes without blinking. That's the kind of guy that Gus has a hard time with because he can't get him out of there to save his life. Krylov is a guy that slows down in round 2, and we've seen kind of throw the towel in and quit on himself in there when he realizes that it's not going his way. Guys, this is a bit of a leap of faith, but I'm going to hit Alexander Gustafsson, and I think I'm going to hit it harder than I knowingly should. I'm going to take that calculated risk here because if Gus is anywhere near the man he used to be, he should be minus 300 in this spot. This line should be not only flipped, but it should be longer. Like, if this fight took place when he came back against Fabricio Verdum, Gus is a minus 300 favorite in that spot. I expect him to have no issues with Nikita Krylov, even if he has a little bit of ring rust, even if he has a little bit of get used to it again in there in that first round. He's going to find his rhythm. He's going to find his pace. And as soon as that happens, the bookies are going to flip this line. They're going to flip it quick. I like this plus 175, and I think this might be one of those bet of the year type of spots in hindsight. So I'm going to risk it for the biscuit up front, knowing full damn well that I could look like an idiot come Saturday afternoon when Gus is completely shot and loses this fight. But I'm taking Gus. I think he'll finish Nikita Krylov. Nikita sticks his neck out, and we've seen him tap before. Gus by sub at 14-1. Gus by sub, round 3, 60-1. That's the spot. We're going Gus inside the distance, baby. We're going to take a big bet on the money line. We're going to take the sub prop. We're going to take the round 3 sprinkle. This is going to be our spot that we hang our tinfoil hat on Saturdays. Let's go. Mount up, diehards. I want this one. Jordan Leavitt taking on Paddy Pimblett. Got to wrap up the show now. Leavitt 155, Pimblett 156. Classic Leavitt. Excited, brought his fluids with him to the scales. Paddy Pimblett smacking his ass for all the shame and the haters up there on stage today. You got to love that. Paddy size advantage, juked Jordan's hand, wouldn't shake his hand, wouldn't get close to him. Obviously, Paddy's got the size advantage. He closes out my Scousers parlay. I think he wins this one and gets it done in fashion. Chris Curtis taking on Jack the Joker Hermansson. 186 for both men. Classic action man pose. Love it when he gets up there. Is looking thick at 185 and healthy. We've seen it before. Same thing as last time. Joker comes up there, face is a bit sucked out, but looked mean and looked solid. You know he makes weight the hard way. This guy actually cuts to 185. The Joker was amped up, roaring at the crowd. He is excited for this fight. Great face-off. Chris Curtis not phased whatsoever. Y'all know what I'm doing here. I haven't made the bet yet because I was hoping to get plus money on my boy Chris Curtis, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It's been good enough two-way action to keep it at the pick'em price tag. I'll take minus 110. I'm going to lock it in this afternoon. I think Chris Curtis is able to handle Jack Hermansson the same way he did his last fight. Obviously, Jack could use his size and his power to, get Chris Curtis down on the ground and change the course of this fight somehow. But Chris was able to defend the takedowns of big men like Rodolfo Vieira, and we saw that Chris Curtis's teammate Sean Strickland didn't have much trouble defending the takedowns of Jack Hermansson. I think Chris is more than capable. He's got the tools to do this one. I like Chris. Again, third rounder decision. I don't think this one's going to be like a buzzer beater second round TKO or anything like that. If Jack starts to slow down, Chris will pour it on him and get him out of there. So I do think KO may be slightly more than decision, but I'm leaning more towards the round 3. Main event time, folks. Curtis Blaydes taking on Tom Aspinall. Blaydes made 260, Aspinall 251. Blaydes gave his usual disinterested, half-hearted flex on the scale today, but he does that every time, so we can't read into that. Classic throwing up the arms there for Tom Aspinall. He looked great. Both these big old heavyweights, so not much to read into for their physiques. Size advantage Tom at the face-offs. This is one where I've seen a couple different angles of these face-offs throughout the week, and I couldn't figure out which guy was bigger. Thank God the UFC does the straight-up side perspective here. Tom is the bigger man here. We're looking at a size advantage for Tom that shouldn't be something that we overlook. Money has been slowly trickling in here on Tom Aspinall, the hometown boy, the hype train right now. That makes perfect sense. He's a minus 140 favorite right now on Superbook Sports. Curtis Blaydes is up to plus 120. All the sharp guys you know are betting Curtis Blaydes at the dog money, and yet the line is moving the other direction. Now, maybe it's a trap. Maybe the bookies are just feeding on the Tom Aspinall fever, but guys, I am sick of losing money trying to fade Tom Aspinall. I am sick of putting my money on the line and having just him show up and continue to be the damn dude, right? I'm looking violence here. The total's at 3.5. Under 3.5 is minus 175. Fight doesn't go the distance is like minus 275 or something, which is a crazy discount on that. The way these guys fight, I think whoever wins finishes, right? Like, we haven't seen Tom Aspinall dragged into the 4th and 5th rounds. If he gets there, Curtis Blaydes probably drowns him and TKOs him in those deeper rounds. If Tom Aspinall is having his way, he's able to defend the takedowns of Curtis Blaydes, snatches a neck on his way in for a takedown, or he's just the bigger, faster man and hits him on the feet, hurts him, and puts him away striking. So either way, I do think no matter who wins this one, we probably see a finish. So I might just lean on violence here. I was looking at maybe parlaying fight doesn't go the distance for the main event with fight doesn't go the distance for the Jai Herbert fight. I think that gets you right around minus 123 or something like that. That might be the look for me. Just hope both those fights that should finish do finish, and don't worry about picking a side along the way. Just root for violence. I'm going to lean Tom Aspinall here, guys. I've been bouncing back and forth all week. You know me, the new rule, protect your bankroll. If you're bouncing back and forth, if you're unsure, do not pick a side. So I'm going to say Tom Aspinall. I'm not going to bet Tom Aspinall. If I'm betting anything in the main event, it's going to be violence. That is your undefeated post-weigh-in show, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out. Go check out Superbook Sports. Make sure you subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. Smash the like button for me. Good luck on all your degenerate action, and give me a follow at diehard MMA Pod. I will tweet my final card this evening. Since the fights are in the morning tomorrow, I'm not going to do it Saturday morning. I will do it Friday night. So have a good one, and let's make some money this weekend, folks. Let's freaking roll. Let's go.